Hello, everybody. Jörg here. We are here at the Coachpreneur Journey, a podcast all about coaching. Last year, we started off with entrepreneurship of coaches, and then I introduced a few coach profiles. We're going to continue this year with sharing coach profiles. And just as an outlook for those who are curious what's going to happen this year on this podcast, I still want to talk about entrepreneurship for coaches because I think it's really relevant, because many coaches have challenges with finding clients and making a living of coaching. But I also want to introduce new coaches, different ways of coaching and different areas of coaching, so to show the full spectrum. I also want to have a conversation with some mental health professionals to showcase where the boundaries between coaching and mental health are. And I want to bring in a few clients so that we hear the story from the other side of coaching. So that's what's in mind. But today we are with Pascale Feldmann. She is living in Ghent, Belgium. But all the details, I leave it to Pascale to introduce herself. Hello, Pascale.
Hello, Jörg. Thank you very much. And thanks for the invitation. It's great to be able to join you and on this coachpreneur and coaching journey, which has been a very interesting, life-changing experience for me over the last few years. So maybe I'll give you a bit of where I come from. I started coaching really by chance, meeting a friend, and at that time in my life a lot had happened. Life is a journey, and it was the right time for Morphosis to introduce coaching to me. It was just a try, and I did the TACC course and then the PCC course and then the Coachpreneur course, and now we are probably 4 years down the line, and it's still a journey, of course. And to be clear, I call myself a coach. I'm an internal coach. It is not my full-time job. I'm trained as a biologist. I'm a scientist. I've worked as a biologist all my life in academia and for the last 26 years in big corporate organization. The addition of the coaching skills and the coachpreneur mindset to my scientific skills is super useful, and I'm really glad that I had this opportunity. I'm every day looking forward to continue this journey because although it's a few years, it's still a start for me.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I was on an event yesterday and also shared me being a coach, and my background is information technology, software engineering. And then people are always surprised when you share that you are from an engineering or science background and now you are going into the human space, so to say. So you already hinted on that it has made a difference for you also as a scientist. So what was the reason for you to look into coaching? And how does this relate with your experience as a scientist, both in academia and in corporate world?
Yeah, before I go to that, I want to say it's not just as a scientist, it's also as a person. I'm a mother, and how I got into that, how I'm using this is wherever we are, it's about people. It's about interactions, whether it's in a corporate world, in the academic world, or at home with our children and partners. It's about people. And at this stage in my career, the ambition to be able to provide support to some younger team members. I'm working as a project leader mostly at the moment. It's about fostering a really vibrant and collaborative environment. And inevitably, there are some issues. People, yeah, it's sometimes difficult and for various reasons. And what we want is to be able to provide the best possible platform for the team to work in the best possible manner, while giving the opportunities to the individual to develop and fulfill their full potential. And sometimes you have some very loud people in a team, for example, and it's giving opportunity to everybody. So this is something that I find now a lot better armed in my professional job to give the opportunity to everybody, because yeah, this is the power of a team to have loads of different individuals, but it also comes with the caveat that we have to give the voice to everybody.
So when you're sharing about the loud people, they are always present and always taking a front seat. And then those who are a little bit more introvert or shy or silent, don't want to stay in the front, you provide them space. Is that
Yeah.
yeah.
This is one aspect without really being a coach in a one-to-one coaching relationship with a client, for example. It's more like the coaching leader, the phenotype to provide the space to everybody. I try to do both, but maybe that's interesting that in a one-to-one coaching relationship, it's very different than in a relationship with somebody in a project team, for example. I don't have the same kind of relationship with a one-to-one client versus a project team. But the skills I can still use, and I do use that to provide the platform for healthy collaborations.
I find that really interesting that you mentioned that, because sometimes it's about the verbal communication, but often it's about the non-verbal communication, which then creates certain dynamics in the team. I'm curious, how has coaching changed your style as a project manager or leader, and how has that changed the dynamics with your project team?
Yes, and I would go further than that, Jörg, to answer. It's not just in work; it's also in personal. I've seen really the change, and this Jean-François had said at the beginning. Oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. It will change your life, and then bam, it changed my life. I think there's a couple of really key points to me. One is to listen. We all come with our background, with our baggage. We are the children of our parents, and our parents are the children of their parents, and education and how we behave and how we work, what is normal in a family environment, has an impact. And so for me, the listening rather than the telling. So this is a big difference, and I found that very strong. It's sometimes difficult. I have to say, oh, Pascal, shut up. Listen. Also, of course, in the coaching, it's about giving the opportunity through questioning to the other person to come up with some answers. The answers, or the person might not know what they want to say, but through questioning rather than telling them, I find that's really very powerful. So, yes, the listening rather than telling is one. And also, very personal, is the slowing down, again through personal experience, and this kind of mad world that we have in sometimes in corporate and everywhere else is like quick. Even with the children, it's like, you get up, come on, quick, let's get dressed, let's go. The mother is in a rush and you have to go because I have my job, and it's let's go all the time. And then you have the feeling that you will achieve more if you go fast. And the realization for me has been that I do more if I slow down. So when I hear somebody in the corridor, and this is it's imprinted in my brain now. You hear some people going really fast to go and reach the printer and then go back to their office or something like that. No, slow down and you'll do more. So this is maybe the second big realization. So one, listen. Two, slow down. These two things have really had big impact on me.
One aspect I hear from you sharing is also that we always have assumptions, right? So meaning when somebody's rushing to the printer and rushing back, you can have the assumption, yeah, that person is always stressed, but maybe there is something urgent, right? And then they need to go there, right? So it's not saying, hey, slow down. Is for me is always so that's something I learned the hard way, that rather than confronting somebody with their behavior, being curious about the behavior and learning something, because many times actually not spot on, right?
I don't know, and I'm curious.
Yeah, that's sometimes still difficult. So, meaning we're currently staying on your work as a leader and what changed after you embarked on coaching. Have you gotten some feedback from the team about your leadership style since you?
It's slowly percolating through my circle of collaborators that I am doing this coaching experience. I don't know. I should ask for feedback. I've done a few one-to-one coaching within the organization and outside the organization, and there I get feedback at the end of the coaching relationship. And there it has been amazing for me, actually, because maybe selfishly, I get so much energy out of this. Of course, I get energy out of being a scientist and out of being a project leader. But when I have a coaching session and a client comes and say, I was thinking about you last week and this happened. I was like, oh, that makes me so happy. Or another one is if through questioning a client comes up with I really never thought about that. That's awareness, and this brings me a lot of energy, and it's something that I cherish. So feedback from the project team, I suppose the energy within the project team is maybe my barometer of how it works. And out of difficult situation, we can get out without casualties, in brackets, is maybe also a barometer. It's good feedback actually to ask for feedback. I should do that.
Okay. Yeah, happy to inspire you
Yes, yes.
to take something out of this podcast session. Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
You were saying before that you are working as an internal coach. What are the focus areas of your coaching within the organization?
I let the client decide, of course. I am there to help the client. When a client is reported to me or somebody through a conversation goes, oh, yeah, I didn't know you were a coach. Can we get into a relationship? And then we have a discussion and identify some topics. It is often about people relationship, confidence, visibility topics.
And so, what do you think makes these topics coming up? Is that specific to your organization, or do you feel it's a common theme?
I think it's a common human being theme. Maybe the coach attracts the client and the client attracts the coach. Maybe again back to my background and where I come from, the personal development of those young scientists that are potentially sometimes a bit, it's a strong word, but inhibited, just because you don't dare to help them realize that it's okay. You can ask questions. People will not judge. It's okay, and to give them the jump start. I was looking for another word. To dare.
So th- they don't dare. When I look back into the different environments I have been working and I observed is that often it's a cultural aspect of daring and not daring. So I'm just curious because I have no experience in the science space. Is it that scientists don't dare because of the hierarchy, or is it because they are not sure? Because at least applied science, to my knowledge, is try and error. So you run an experiment and then you have an hypothesis, you prove it or not, and it can take quite some time. So what is holding them back? And how do you as a coach shift that perspective?
It's an interesting question because so working in this international environment, the cultural differences is there. If you're speaking to some German or some French or some Dutch or some English or some American people, the language is different. So this is certainly one aspect. When we train during our academic career or during our studies, you tend to work on your project. It's me and my project. And then you get into corporate, and it's very much about collaboration. So you rarely do everything in your project. You have a team, and so this is where you learn for your master and further studies. You learn to be a scientist and to be an expert, and then you find yourself in a big group, and you remain the expert, but you have to be able to communicate, and to intervene and to question, because as you said, it's about hypothesis, and it's not because I'm the loudest and the older person in the team that I've got all the knowledge and expertise. The young guy there probably knows a lot more about some stuff that I've never heard about. So it's about learning to get to that stage of daring and taking your place in the team and gaining the confidence and the skills to
And how does relationships matter here? Because you mentioned relationships also is a topic, right? So is that linked to what we were just discussing?
yes, because different people have different personalities. If I'm a very quiet person and somebody is very open on the other side, how do I communicate? Um, and different style, different nationalities, different skills or different background of technology. That's another thing as well. It's that if you're in a team, you're the expert in your small part, and there might be some other discussions around where you are not an expert. So to gain the confidence to be there within the project team is also about confidence, I think.
You touched on various aspects, and I think personality traits and character and how you identify yourself as, so that's always showing up in conversations and in relationships. Right? I was just doing conflict management related things recently, and one big aspect there is of social styles and identities, and it's often overlooked. So we focus on how do we use maybe non-confrontational language, how do we maybe take the emotions out, but if we don't consider our own needs, our own personality, how we see ourselves or how we perceive ourselves in this given context, that of course gets into the way, right? Because if I am perceiving myself as fair, and then I'm having a conversation with somebody and I feel that person sees me as not being fair, then it's not about what is being said, it's about me, my own perception of being fair. And of course, it's maybe not the intention of the other person to say I'm not fair, but if I perceive it like that, then it triggers all sort of things. And I think that's a fine nuance which then surface in coaching, that you realize, oh, this is why I got triggered, or this is why the other person is responding or behaving in a certain way, because we bring in different dimensions and aspects.
Yeah, I think the key word there, I think for me, is awareness. And it's true that as a coach, going through our training of coaching, this keyword awareness is big. And I think for a young person, or not necessarily a young person, actually, for somebody who's not gone through a learning coaching process, it's kind of realizations like, oh yeah, it's true, I'm like that, but that person, maybe that's completely normal for me and not for them.
Yeah, we look for different things, right? So if I'm analytical, I look for information. If I'm extrovert, then I'm looking for conversations. And on the spectrum, that's, yeah, maybe on the opposite side of things, right? You mentioned before that who you are also shows up in how you coach, and you said it slightly differently, but also so who you find as a client and who you attract as a client. So who is your perfect client?
Yes, and it's not easy because of who I am as a person and the events of my life. I believe that that has shaped me as a person, and certainly as a coach as well. I could coach lots of different type of people on lots of different topics, but at the moment, still my focus has been on young scientists who are clearly talented, but maybe find themselves stuck in the career progression. So at the moment, these are, I think, my main clients, and it's been working well. The people bring something back to society. Yes, it's within the corporate world, but I give something back while still getting an enormous amount of positive energy out of it. I haven't targeted the high profile leadership teams, etc. It's been more giving back to the younger generation that I've found some more energizing for me.
Yeah, and it's so rewarding to see somebody thrive, right? So if I look back at my leadership career, there are so many who I was able to encourage, and it has really helped them a great deal to make a career, to find a happy spot in their life, and I always find that rewarding. And from your sharing, I see it's similar on your side.
Yeah, I think I like that word that you used, a happy spot, because indeed, whether that person is going to grow or whether they're going to realize that actually maybe I thought I wanted to be there is very graphical, right? There or there or there or somewhere else. It doesn't have to. This is not up, is not better than down. Find your happy spot. And it's just so important because yeah, you have to go to work every morning and it's like a minimum of 8 hours every day. You might as well be happy there. So, yeah.
Okay. So I think in one of the conversations we had before, you mentioned most organizations of a certain size, they have some career development programs. Where do you see that coaching could benefit organizations in that space of career development and staff development?
Oh, it's clearly there. Something more maybe current and visible within the organization is mentoring. I heard you doing mentoring. No, I'm not doing mentoring, I'm doing coaching. So it's a big difference because I think in mentoring, I know, you don't, I tell you what I know. Whereas in the coaching, it's about opening the space so that the client can help themselves find the answer to their questions. Of course, we are helping, and sometimes if the client is stuck, we can bring some options. Really, the difference between mentoring and coaching is there, and is it offered in the organization? It is, but I see a difference between what I'm doing versus external coaching collaborators or companies. I'm focusing on the internal stuff. It's maybe easier for our team members to get a few hours of Pascale's time than to be able to get a complete program from an external coaching company. Maybe this is where my space is defined and why it's kind of working, because there's definitely space for that.
Okay. I often get you are a coach, that's why it has to be all coaching. And for me, that has never been the case because I started off with training. I was working as a trainer and then I did some mentoring and then facilitation. And now I'm also working as a coach. So I think it complements the leadership toolbox because different situations require different things. My observation is that, especially when it comes to career development programs within corporations, it's often training, yes, and that can be hard skill and to a lesser extent, in my experience, also soft skill. Now, most organizations are using learning platforms, right, like LinkedIn Learning or O'Reilly or others which are there, which is basically providing a fruit basket for healthy learning, right? Whenever you are ready, you can take and snack something, which is good from a learning mindset. Many organizations also focus on mentoring programs. The majority, I still fear, is focusing on your line manager should mentor you. And because we talked about the relationship issues, I often see that this becomes a problem because there's a conflict of interest. And that's why quite a few organizations also now focusing on mentoring programs which are cross-departmental and also maybe cross-organizational, especially multinational organizations. When it comes to coaching, I see a lot of organizations which have coaching outsourced, either to coaching platforms or to coaching providers. There is always a budget concern, so it's not unlimited capacity, so to say. And often it's very targeted, and often internal coaching sits within the HR department. If somebody from another organization asks you, hey, you're an internal coach, what are the benefits of having an internal coach and why should they do that?
I believe that the coaching leaders are very, very good leaders, that the younger generation responds well to somebody who are going to give them the opportunity to come up with ideas, to grow, rather than I'm the boss, I'm telling you, which is the other style of many style of management, of course. But I think that to bring more coaching leaders within an organization can only be beneficial, and it empowers the people, and I really believe that's just such a wonderful thing to do, to be able to have an organization, a world where people are given the opportunity to stop, think, have awareness, and realize, oh, I can do it like that, not like this. Great. And you know, as a way of life, even, it's not just a leadership way of working.
Yeah, I sign that statement. I love that because I'm also saying that coaching and being human and taking care of humans would make the world of a better place. And there's one thing maybe didn't come to your mind, but which you shared earlier, and I just want to play back to you, right? So you were saying that you get a lot of energy. You said that many times, that you get a lot of energy out of the coaching, that you love to see other people stepping up or growing. And I'm not sure if you said it explicitly, but it was always there as a theme. It motivates you. For me, when I was working as an internal coach or looking at from an organizational perspective, what more do we want to have than energized, motivated, and inspired people, right, on our teams? And you will definitely see effect, right, on the culture, on the way people interact, and on the outcomes. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yes, and yeah, when we finish a project, and to know that the people were happy to work on the team and they're happy to start on a new project working with me, that for me that's maybe the feedback that I need to, yeah, know that people are, I think, generally happy to work with me.
okay, yeah, just stay with this is a perfect statement. Is there anything we haven't discussed yet and you want to share?
There's probably lots of things we didn't discuss yet, but I think we probably discussed enough, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, I thank you very much for being here and sharing and taking your time. It was a lovely conversation with you, Pascal. If people want to get into contact with you, how can they find you?
I will give you my email, and I think people can probably find me on LinkedIn as well. Um,
I put the contact details then in the show notes, and if anybody wants to get into contact with Pascal, internal coach in the corporate world, being based in Ghent in Belgium, so please feel free to reach out. Thank you very much again for being here. It was a pleasure, and all the best for your academic, leadership, and coaching career.
Thank you very much, Jörg. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.